All right. Hello, Charlene. Hi, Esther. Hello, Stephen. Welcome. Hello there, friends. Hi, Myla. Hello, Maria. Andre, welcome.
Thank you.
Hi there, Arthur. Hello. Gray, before we go live on Facebook, would it be all right with you if we test your camera first and then your audio, and let's ask our participants if they can hear us both?
Sure.
So, our participants, if you can hear me, please raise your hand on the menu bar. All right. Thanks, Paula. Thanks, Zoe. Thank you, Iris. So I'll just prepare our Facebook Live. There were attendees are coming in our room. Would you mind sharing if where you guys are from in our we have a question from Mark here. Uh, Actually, we're in a Zoom webinar room, Sir Mark. So we have our attendees and all on mute, and our speakers and our panelists will be the only ones who can see the participants and as well as speak. And if you have any questions, yes, feel free to ask. I would be happy to answer regarding our setup for this afternoon. All right. Hi, Miss Cherry Lou from Cebu. Hi, Miss Jonah. Hi, Miss Paula. Right, we'll be on Facebook Live in a few minutes. Hello, Miss Jennifer from Davao. Good afternoon. Hello, Quincy. Hi, Riza. Good afternoon. Right. You're welcome, Sir Mark. So I'll just set up our Great. I think your camera is off. Let's try it before we go live.
Okay, sure.
Right.
Yeah, it turns off when I share the screen.
But I think once you share the screen, it will not turn off on the participants' view.
Oh, that is weird. Hi.
All right, there for a moment.
It's 4 o'clock.
Okay, so are you ready, Dre? We'll go on live now.
Sure.
Okay. All right, we are live. Good afternoon to our viewers on Zoom, our participants, and as well as our live viewers on Facebook. Welcome to Mynimo Insights. I am Sheen, and I will be with you this afternoon as we tackle about a very interesting topic. It is what to prepare for the future of remote recruitment and onboarding. So before we start, I'd like to give a shout out to our participants here on Zoom. Hello, Miss Paula from Well Made Manufacturing Corporation. We also have Jennifer from Davao. Hello, good afternoon po. Maayong hapon, Cherry Lou and Miss Jonah. I hope everyone is safe and well watching from their homes or their offices. So before we start our talk, I would just like to inform everyone that we will be having our Q&A segment later. So feel free to send your questions on our comment section on Facebook and as well as here on our Q&A window on Zoom. And we also have our webinar chat. So feel free to send your questions and our speaker would be happy to address it later. So now I'm very excited to share to you our speaker. So our speaker has over 20 years of high volume leadership recruitment experience, 16 years coming from the BPO or customer service industry. She has led hiring process improvement initiatives, process documentation, performance management, and talent attraction strategies to support business growth of the companies she has worked for in the past, such as Amazon and Convergys. She has supported launch of new sites and implementation of new programs in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao regions. She has led high volume and leadership recruitment for verticals such as retail, telco, cable, technology, financial, healthcare, transportation, accounting software, and travel verticals. She is currently the recruitment director of Tech Mahindra Cebu Enterprise and Cebu CME. Our speaker also loves to scuba dive and mountain bike in her free time. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Gray Momongan. Good afternoon, Gray.
Thank you, Yan. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. And good afternoon to all the participants from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
Right.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure, Gray. So I think our participants and our viewers are very excited to hear your talk. So let's start.
Yes, thank you so much. Everyone, good afternoon. I hope everyone is doing okay. We are in this very uncertain times, and yet we are still, asked to support our business, when it comes to recruiting, because that means, we need more people to help grow our business, or at least continue the business that we support in our respective companies. So today, I'm going to talk about, you know, what's in it for us in this time of uncertainty or the pandemic, and what to prepare for the future of remote recruitment and onboarding. So we're going to talk about that today, but I'd like to, set an expectation that, there's no in this time of pandemic, everyone's trying to navigate uh, in these times. It's very uncertain. Every day is a learning experience for us. We're trying to navigate our process and how to adopt and align our process to the current times. So every day is a learning experience for us, and it provides a very good opportunity to be flexible also. So having said that, there's really no perfect formula when we recruit, when we try to hire and onboard our new employees. So we all need to learn every day, and make some changes as we go through each day of our recruitment business. Now, I'd like to also, remind you, that every day is difficult. So, but it doesn't mean that we have to be difficult also with ourselves. No, let's try to just take one day at a time, and then appreciate the let's say the obstacles that come our way, right? And I'm here to help you navigate through that, give you some tips on how to prepare on what's ahead of us. Also help you give you some tips on how we can come up with a meaningful and enjoyable experience as we onboard our new hires. Okay, later on, I'm also going to talk about what are the components that we need to prepare as we do our virtual recruitment, and also the channels that we can look at, and also the skills that we also need to look at for our people. And then there are also things that we need to talk about when we try to partner with our stakeholders as we continue to hire people. So let me share my screen. I prepared a deck, actually just 10 slides, uh, to give you some of my tips, as I also learned from this experience. Just to add, when the pandemic started in March, when the lockdown started, we had to come up in my company in Tech Mahindra. We had to immediately come up with a business continuity plan, and there was a daily calls for us to make sure that our business continue to operate, and me as the lead in recruitment continue to support the business. Okay, let me share what I have here. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Gray, we can see you.
Awesome. Okay, so what is remote recruitment? So actually, we have done remote recruitment in the past, but there are two methods that we're doing it. We're doing the traditional way, and some of us are doing the digital way. First, let's define remote recruitment. It actually involves sourcing of candidates, interviewing them, and hiring them who are located outside the job location assignment. The recruiters use technology to connect with candidates regardless of location. Remote recruitment is actually decentralized. Why is that? Because you're not actually limited to your location. when you hire people. You can hire from, if you're located in Cebu, you can actually hire folks from Mindanao or from Manila. And for that, our talent pool becomes very wide. It's like the talent pool is actually the whole world, no? It's not just one specific area or location. But what makes it traditional and what makes it digital? So traditional actually is we're still interviewing them, uh, but we're doing the phone interview. No. So, but when it comes to digital, the digital way of remote recruitment is actually using uh, the tools that we have available, such as AI, or you have the video conference. So that's another way of making your process digitalized. Another is you can use a tool wherein you can predetermine uh, your questions. Okay, via tool, for example, you have the higher view. You can predetermine your questions there, or probably your qualifying questions, and then another set of questions that are aligned to the values of the company. And you use the targeted selection interview method when you ask those questions. And those questions are sent to the candidates, and they are to record their responses. So that's a digital way of interviewing. So some of us now are still doing the phone interview, but actually, if you look at the process, that's a traditional way of interviewing or assessing your candidates. The digital ways, you use what you have online, such as social media. For example, what am I talking about when it comes to social media? If you notice, if you visit some companies that use Facebook to get applications. Some of them, or most of them, actually use the chatbot. That chatbot is usually called the talk push, wherein the questions are pre-identified and predetermined. So once the applicant gets into the Facebook Messenger of the particular company, there's an automated question and response. And the candidate will just have to respond to those questions. And if the questions meet the criteria that the company is looking for, then there's also that capability for that chatbot to endorse you to the next step in the same chatbot until you reach the stage wherein you have to fill out a form, an online form. So that's a digital way of sourcing and getting leads through the use of social media. Another is there's an emailer tool that allows you to actually send invitations to applicants. For example, in Mynimo, you've used Mynimo to post your job advertisements, right? That's an online job portal. In return, you get names and the contact details of applicants and even the email addresses. So once you have the email addresses, where Mynimo actually allows you to generate that, you can actually translate that to your emailer, and your emailer tool will automatically send invitations to those to the applicants. So that's another way of a digital recruitment process. Whereas traditional way is you call them one by one, right? You still you text them or you call them through your mobile phone or your landline phone, but it's still a traditional. However, for digital, you can do simultaneous things all at the same time. So this is just one way of looking at what we can do in remote recruitment. So there's traditional, there's digital. Now, what do we do to prepare as we recruit remotely? So we're going to talk about the digital remote recruitment. But first, let's look at the key components before we even get the tools that we need. So these are the things that we need to consider. So four components are process, tools, people, and financial. In any business, these are the things that you normally look at when you propose for a process change, when you initiate a new process, a new technology, so usually these are the four components that you need to look at. Now, when it comes to the first one, the process, you need to look at your current recruitment process. Okay, you check if it's ready to adapt to major changes. Okay, find a way to make it more efficient by integrating digital recruitment strategies and techniques. For example, are you still using paper and pen? Now that we're doing the remote recruitment, you think that paper and pen exam is still applicable? How about when you interview people? So as I mentioned before, there's phone interview, and then we can also do video interview. So those are the things that we need to look at and see if this can improve and make your recruitment process more scalable. What am I talking about more scalable? That means, can this process make you screen more applicants that compared to your traditional process or to your previous process before the pandemic? And then, we all have to also remember that candidates nowadays prefer a quick application process. No, all of us we are so connected digitally that we prefer to, things are so fast that we also prefer to have our application process be processed quickly. Now, so when we try to digitize the recruitment process, it must be, remember, easier for the applicants, and also the entire applicant experience must be enhanced. So back in the old days, we would normally, and some of us are guilty of this. We would normally, screen our candidates, I mean the resumes, and then probably call them the day after, or probably 2 days after. So at this time, if you observe, applicants would normally take the offer of the company who can offer them fast. So we need to remember that always, because applicants nowadays, unlike before, have a lot of options. Like they can just walk around IT Park and they can find a job within hours. No? Whereas before, we have to send a resume and pray for our applications to get a result, and someone would call us. Those days are gone. Now, all the job vacancies are available online, in social media, no more newspaper. No, so everyone can look for jobs easily. That's why applicants would also expect a quick process for their application. And we also need to remember that the company that can offer a better applicant experience would normally uh, get the applicants, the more qualified applicants. And these applicants who would normally get a very positive applicant experience actually translates to retention. No, because if they see that they are being taken care of during the recruitment process, uh, they would also think that they will be taken care of when they're already in the company. And remember that they talk. So that's where your employer brand comes in. If your new hires had a very good positive application experience, they actually tell it to their friends. They tell it to their families, they tell it to their neighbors, and even invite them to also apply in your companies. So the entire process has to be aligned with what is our goal really. So this is our process, and this is what we have to meet. So that's what we mean by, check your recruitment process. Another one would be tools. Now, you have to check your existing technology. Check your communication tools, your virtual interview tools, assessment tools, your ATS, your or applicant tracking system, and your onboarding system. Uh, Search for top platforms that work best for you and check how they can be used in scalable way to candidate search, candidate shortlisting, and candidate selection. Now, what do I mean by that? So check if your tool is really ready to process more applicants in a very quick way. For example, in high volume recruitment, um, it is imperative that our tools are ready to process a high volume of applicants also, so that we are able to meet our high volume target in a required timeline. Also, look at your tracking system. Is your tracking system does it help you make your work more efficient and faster? No? Check if these tools that you have can adapt to the requirement. So for example, are you still using Excel? If you're using Excel, assess if the Excel tool is helping you make your work faster, or is it doubling your work. Also, look at the productivity of your team. So if you're using this tool, is it helping increase the productivity of your team or not, or is it still the same? So those are the things that we need to look at when we check our tools. People. So what do I mean by people? So as recruiters, we need to check if our team also have the right skills. Are their skills is it are their skills able to adapt to the changing times? For example, now that we're doing virtual recruitment, everything is done virtually, and that means we need to work at home, but that also means that we need to have the necessary tools, right? So what the tools will only be effective if they are being used correctly, right? And that also means if your team, do they have the right skills? Are they equipped with the skills when they use the tool? Okay. If not, is there a training plan for them to develop those skills? So those are the things that we need to look at when we look at our people. No? Financial, what do I mean by that? Now that we are trying to adapt to the changing time, this uncertain time, um, you might want to also talk to your stakeholders and see if you can come up, or if the company can invest to tools and training. No, because like I said earlier, assess if you have the right tools. If not, then you might want to propose for investing in a new tool, and then also training your team on how to use the tool. Another way on also to I'd like to go back to people also. Um, Check if your team are able to quickly navigate through the tools that you have, for example, Excel, or you have different tabs that are open. Can they navigate fast? Can they multitask fast? Is that something that can be trained on? Is that something that they can develop? So look at those also. So that's what I mean by, you look at your process, your tools, people, and your financials. Okay. Now, next would be this. Guys, we need to remember that we have no choice but to go virtual. No? So that means we have to use all the available tools online that can help us with our jobs, right? So we are working from our homes, including me, but we need to make sure that uh, what we need to make our job easier for us is, we are equipped with the right tools and even skills. So we are going virtual. Now, What does virtual sourcing and recruitment mean, or also known as digital recruitment marketing? It actually means it is an efficient and cost-effective solution that saves time, eliminates travel, creates flexibility for candidates and recruiters in scheduling interviews, and it promotes positive experience for hiring managers, recruiters, and candidates. Digital recruitment strategy needs to be supported with adequate technologies. The digital recruitment technology must be integrated with human resource tools to make it more efficient and effective. Okay, so what do we mean by that? So it has to be, holistic. So when we come up with digital recruitment, branding, sourcing, and marketing, we use the internet, right? We use social media. We use online blog, recruiting blogs. We use videos, video interviewing. We use online assessment. For others, we use, when we assess for communication, we use Versant or SVAR. We have the Global English. When we try to assess for personality, you have the 16 PF personality test. So those are the online tools that we can use when we assess for applicants. Now, combining that, when we try to promote our hiring promotions, we use the channels, the digital recruitment channels such as social media, and you have, of course, Mynimo. But what's lacking is, are those tools integrated with each other? Or is our tool still, yes, we use social media, we get the leads, but we still get the applicant information and encode them in Excel? No? Or do we have a system or a tool that, when we try to post our job hiring requirements in social media, can they automatically uh, flow through the recruitment tool that we use? The next question would be, is our recruitment tool also synchronized to the HR tool? Now, why is that needed? That's very important because our recruitment tool or our applicant tracking system collects applicant information, right? But some of us still, when we collect the applicant information, we still encode them in Excel. And then when we try to onboard the applicant or the new hire, then we encode them again in HRIS or in the HR tool. That's not actually synchronized because you're still encoding them. It's not automated. So the tool should be synchronized to the HRIS tool so that when the ATS collects the information, it flows right through the HRIS, and all you have to do is just click some buttons to confirm that this candidate is hired and that the information is flowed through the HRIS. All of it, the address, any personal information that's needed, the government numbers. So that's what I mean by synchronizing all the tools. Because guys, remember, we are working in our homes. Would you like to see your team, getting some paperwork there, and you have printouts here? So there's an opportunity to digitalize your process, not just in recruitment, but go directly goes to the HRIS. So it's very holistic. So that's what I mean by digital recruitment, making it more digital, and also it directly goes through the digital recruitment or the digital HR tool. And this way, it makes it easier for our team, to hire applicants, and they can even process and screen applicants, doubling it, tripling it. All right. Next would be, now, what tools do we use when we source for candidate and we promote them? So I already mentioned this earlier. So you have your online career websites such as Mynimo, And then you have the mobile phone apps. I don't know if you're familiar with Job Yoda. You can also look at that. So that's an example of a mobile phone app. And then you have the power of social media. Now, do not look at social media or Facebook as just, you can just post your hiring requirements there, and people can just look at it and they can inquire and even message you. No, there's actually more to that. Remember that in social media, specifically in Facebook, there are a lot of pages there. Trust me. When I helped Amazon open the business in Manila and Cebu, we actually used the pages, the group pages, and we were targeting the call center employees. A lot of call center employees actually have their own pages in Facebook. You can actually post your job requirements there. Now, so what I'm saying is come up with a very wide exposure of your hiring requirement, not just in your company page, but also in other group pages in Facebook. And there's such a thing as sharing. No, when people share your hiring requirement, you will see that actually, because you will see the reach, the number of reach that you have there. So make use of that also. um, and then customize also your sourcing strategy when you use social media. Assess your target audience. For example, look at the group page. Is the group page, or are the members of that group page really your target pool? So you might also want to check on that. Um, Another would be, if you want to use Instagram, is Instagram giving you the target pool that you're looking for? No? So it's not just, using the social media just for the heck of using it, but also make sure that when you post your hiring requirement, it's really intended for the pool, talent pool that you want to hire. Okay. Another would be, I don't know if you've heard of recruiting blogs. Uh, in Manila, a lot of BPO companies in Manila are starting to use recruiting blogs. Uh, so this is when they create videos, no, to show the future employees or the applicants the companies that they are promoting. It's like showing the applicants everything that they need to know about the organization. No, and recruiting blogs also offer a chance for your future employees to connect with their future employers. There can be that interaction with the applicant and the employer. Think of it as your virtual career fair. No, that there's a dialogue between your applicants, your future employees, and then your probably your top management can be your guest. And then like this, no, they can entertain some questions. There's a session for applicants to ask your guest, your top management team, to provide answers to your applicants. And maybe the questions would surround about the culture of the company, the future of the company, what else, opportunities for growth in the company. So that's you can also use that type of tool or method. Another is employee referral system. I'm a big proponent of employee referral system. Why is that? Because if to me that speaks about the brand of the company, the image of the company, the impression of our employees about our company. Because when they refer, or when they try to invite their friends to also join them, join their company, work with them also, that means there's that sense of pride, you know and of course, your employee would say, a lot of positive things about the company, so that his or her friend will also apply, right? And that speaks a lot about the brand image of the company, your internal branding. And then when you have these group of employees who are actively referring, they become your brand ambassadors, you know. And then when that happens, they also use their social media, right, to also promote the company. Another is employee referral actually promotes retention because there's that sense of pride, you know, that they're very happy in your company. And at the same time, they're also earning some incentives for referring. So it's actually a win-win situation for the company and the employee. And most importantly, it really promotes a good sense of pride and thus results to a positive retention. In my case, in my experience with my previous companies, I would normally reach between 47% to 63% uh, of our employees coming from the referral system. So you don't have to come up with a lot of cash incentives, although that can help. You can actually come up with promotions, contests, or you can come up with giveaways, probably tokens or company items, or probably some gift checks, or checks for buffet in this restaurant, or another would be come up with uh, a team contest wherein you can award your teams. The team who can refer more, really refer successful hires more, can win something. Probably a teamwork incentive, a cash incentive for their party team building party. So those things. It doesn't have to be incentive all the time. Probably you can come up with a program wherein you can identify who are your top referrers, and really uh, come up with a recognition that these referrers are your uh, brand ambassadors. And then you can probably come up with a jacket that says brand ambassador for this company, for your companies, so that it gives them a sense of pride that they are a top referrer, they're now considered an ambassador for the company. So that's for employer referral. Now, applicant referral. So you might be curious about this because applicant referral is not a very popular channel to use when you try to get applicants, promote your hiring requirement or job posting. So it's really simple. Applicant referral is actually promoting your job vacancies to your applicants. It doesn't have to be successful applicants. It can be for all applicants. No? So when they apply, when you talk to them and then you engage with them over the phone or over chat, you can actually say that, maybe you have some friends who also want to apply, and then maybe in return you can give them something like a token. It doesn't have to be cash. It can be a t-shirt or a fan or, a ball pen. But now that we are doing things remotely, probably, sort of a membership, something for Netflix or anything that they can use online, or probably a small amount of cash through GCash. So those things can be an applicant referral incentive. Just make sure that when you promote your applicant referral, your applicant or your recruitment process is also very efficient, and it really provides a very positive applicant experience, because don't expect applicants who experience negatively would refer also their friends. So make sure that those two things are considered. These applicants are experiencing a very positive applicant experience, so that they are more motivated to refer. No? So those are the tips that I can give you when it comes to sourcing and promoting your job vacancies. Um, some of the things that are traditional could be, your job fair, which is not applicable anymore. However, you can do online job fair. Now, so you can promote your online job fair through online websites, job sites like Mynimo, or through your Facebook page, no? And then come up with like this, a webinar wherein you can organize a career talk for your future employees. So you can partner with schools actually. Like you talk to the schools and say, hey, I'm coming up with a webinar and this is the date. Please help us promote this to your students or your graduating students. You can also do that. So there's a job fair before where you have to be there in person, but now you can actually do it online. All right. So that's another tip for you there. Okay. All right. Before I continue, Yen, do we have questions at this point?
I think questions are coming in right now in our webinar chat. But I think, Gray, our participants are asking a favor that we can do a slideshow with your presentation so they can see a fuller view of your presentation. Would that be all right?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Let me check. Let me see if I can. Oh, sorry. Hmm,
I think it's under there.
There.
Right.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Is that okay now?
Yes, yes. Much better. So
Okay.
we'll just continue with the questions. I'm currently listing it down so that it's easier for us to answer later.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Gray.
Okay. 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 Sorry, guys. But I hope that you were able to still, absorb the things that I was talking about. I hope it's not too late. And if you have questions, I can always go back to the slide and we can talk about it again. Right? Okay. Okay. Now, let's talk about new hire remote onboarding journey. Um, I would normally call onboarding as a new hire journey because all of us have gone through onboarding process, right? We were once new hires before, and we had different experiences when we were onboarded by our respective companies in the past and even in our current company. Um, and just a tip for you, when you onboard new hires, always put yourselves in the shoes of the new hire. And that's how you will be able to, it will help you come up with improving the process, the onboarding process that you have. So maybe, you think back and say, okay, this was how it was done when I was onboarded. Now, do you want to make it better? Do you want it to make it more efficient? Is there another way to improve it? So always serve that as your sort of a guiding question. No, so that's normally how I personally do it. The same with when our applicants apply. Remember that we were once applicants before. Always think about how you can make it easier for your applicants to apply. No, it's not about them for them to get jobs easier. It's really providing that positive applicant experience. No, because again, in most cases, applicant experience would normally translate to retention. If you notice, there are new hires who just stay in the company for 30 days or 2 months. And maybe that's something that we can assess. Did something happen during the onboarding process? Was the onboarding process effective for this person in this role? you know so those are the things that I would advise that we always consider when we come up with a better process. Okay. Okay. So new hire remote onboarding. So there's no more in-person onboarding, guys. There's no more big boardroom. There's no more big whiteboard. Everything is done online and in the comforts of your home and in the home of your new hires. All right. But still, the principle remains the same. Okay. So these tips that I have here are not new actually, but these are just customized to adapt to virtual onboarding. Okay, so number one, onboarding plan and timeline. So this is common, no? This is the very first step that you need to do. Plan the onboarding, the new hire onboarding, and then there has to be a timeline. No, what's day one, what's day two, what's day three until day 10, probably, or day 30. Depends on your respective onboarding timeline. Another would be what would be the hours in a day, you know, how long will the onboarding for this particular department would be, you know. So those need to be planned. Now, when you plan, okay, especially for leadership and support hiring, remember that when you onboard your new hires, uh, some of them or two of them might be in the same role or position, and the others might not be in the same role or position. So it has to be customized, you know, per role or position. For example, does this person need to be onboarded or oriented for this type of work or for with this department, right? So it has to be planned. Another is when you come up with an onboarding plan and timeline, you really need to sit down with the hiring managers, you know, with the department heads that or the department that your new hires will be assigned to. Okay, get your stakeholders involved in the onboarding process because at the end of the day, these folks will actually will eventually join them and will be assigned in their department in the long, you know, in permanently or probably in a long time, right? So it's very important that you, when you plan, your hiring managers or your stakeholders are actually on board with the plan, okay? And also with the timeline. Number two, onboarding experience should be a positive journey. The same with application experience of our candidates. It has to be a positive journey. No? Bring in as many stakeholders to get involved to create a welcoming experience. Okay, what do I mean by that? Now, for example, you have a manager in a particular department, let's say in operations. So this is the thing that you need to talk about the hiring manager. What does this new hire need and who do they need to get involved with? Which department will they be closely working with? All right. So that's what we mean by bring in as many stakeholders to get to create a welcoming experience. No? So in your onboarding plan, all of the stakeholders will will onboard them also on the, you know, the things that they need that's being done in their respective department so that the new hires will be aware that okay, this is the department that takes care of this, okay, and this is the department that takes care of this. All right, so it's really important that when you onboard your new hires, these different departments really get involved and come together to welcome the new hire. Okay, and try to avoid missing out on someone, or if there's a need for a particular department to reschedule, always go back to that department and say, hey, you have not yet onboarded this person. Is there a schedule that, you know, is there a right time and a right day for you to onboard this person? Make sure that the onboarding plan is really accomplished. Okay? It can be delayed, but it needs to be accomplished still. And welcome message before day one. That's very important. Why is that important? We have to make everyone aware that there's a new hire coming in, right? That there's a new member of the family that's gonna join the family, right? So everyone needs to be aware of that. Uh, and we can actually do that by sending a welcome message. And ideally, it should be before day one, not on day one itself. Okay, so that everyone will expect for this new hire, new person, new member of the family, that this person will join us on this day. All right, and then everyone will be prepared to welcome the person. Okay, not on the day itself, because that will give them so much limited time to prepare to welcome the new hire. Day one. So on day one, of course, that's when we welcome the new hire. Okay, and ensure that the experience is very enjoying for the new hire. Remember, this is the day when first impression comes in. Okay, remember, some impressions, first impressions last. That still holds true. Okay, ensure that the right resources are provided. Okay, necessary equipment are also provided. There's that real time or on demand assistance for support and additional resources. Now, how do we do that remotely? Now, when we welcome the new hire, okay, maybe you can schedule a session, you know, that okay, this the new hire is will have a video conference or conference call on this day, and everyone's invited to join the call and welcome the new hire. And I would encourage for the department heads to really join the call. And then when we say ensure the right resources, that would mean, does the new hire have the computer needed, or does the new hire have the access needed to access probably a shared drive, a SharePoint, or an email, or a particular tool, you know, and then necessary equipment. So that would be, in most cases, your computer or laptop. And then what do I mean by real-time on-demand assistance for support? So for example, so each of us, when we are onboarded, usually on the first day, we are provided logins, right? Logins to email, logins to the network, logins to a lot of logins. Make sure that when the new hire, you know, just in case the new hire experiences access issues, you have, for example, an IT person ready to, you know, ready to rescue the new hire. Let's say, for example, he cannot log in. Then this is the number, this is the name of the person, the new hire, or the IT support can call the new hire. So that's what we mean by on-demand assistance. So that the IT support probably, you know, or maybe the hiring manager, if the hiring manager is technically inclined also, can assist the new hire. So end of the day, you know, the new hire really gets that assistance when there's a problem with particular access to tools, or even the use of your equipment. And then, of course, if there are other additional resources needed, for example, is there a need for the new hire to have another, probably a printer, you know, or probably access to a phone? Or do you have that? Do you provide mobile phones for communication? No? So those are the things that you need to prepare. And it has to be listed down, maybe a week before the target start date, so that you don't go cramming. No? And then ensure that a week before these are prepared. Okay, so that you don't, you know, on day one, that's when you try to find or send your resources. It has to be prepared already. That's the ideal scenario. Another would be hiring managers must have all the access information needed by the new hire, access to tools, emails, logins, and etc. So normally, IT provides the logins to the hiring manager, and then via email. Because remember, the new hire doesn't have an email before day one or even during day one. So the hiring manager must have all those logins, so that the hiring manager can right away provide that to the new hire. Okay, and it has to be prepared. All right. Next. So these are my tips when we onboard new hires. Then this is the best practice from my previous company. Number one, assign an onboarding buddy. Okay, this is the person to help the new hire get acclimated to the social and cultural norms of the organization and of the team. So it's like you have probably a senior member of the team uh, who can be the onboarding buddy of your new hire, of the new member of the team. Why is that? Because normally, the senior member of the team, or probably a supervisor, can best guide this new hire. No, remember, this is really important because we are now working remotely. We are not in the office wherein we can immediately, ask our seatmate, "Hey, seatmate, can you help me with this?" No, that's not gonna happen anymore. Okay, we are in our house, in our room, and we don't have seatmates. So it's important that you are going to assign an onboarding buddy, and this onboarding buddy must commit to onboard and help this new hire. They don't have to be best friends. They can be best friends, but they don't have to be best friends. Just, make sure that this buddy that you're going to assign to the new hire is really committed, to offer assistance and help this new hire, help this new member of the team get, acclimated, or, learn the norms and the culture of the company and the organization. Learn more how things are being done, in this in the company, because all of us have our own things of doing things, right? But it may not be the right thing to do in our company. So it's really important that this onboarding buddy really guides this new hire, this person, that okay, in our company, this is how it's being done. Okay, and probably that onboarding company can also help the new hire reach out to the right person. For example, if there's a problem with an IT, I mean, problem with the computer or network, then this buddy can actually tell the newer that you can actually reach out to this person, and this person will be willing to help you quickly. No? Or the buddy can actually call the IT and say, "Hey, help this new hire. This new hire needs help. Please do it right away because he needs to have access to emails. He needs to receive the emails." No, so it's really the onboarding buddy is very, very important. Okay. Another reason would be, just imagine you're working remotely, you don't have anyone to talk to because you don't know anyone, right? So that's where the onboarding buddy comes in, to make the new hire feel not alone and not isolated, and make the new hire feel welcome. You are part of the team, not just part of the family, not just part of the company, but you are part of our team. Make the new hire feel welcome to the team because it starts with the team, right? And then it translates to, to the organization. Okay. Another would be create a networking list. What does that mean? This is actually a list of key employees in the company and the organization the new hire needs to reach out to. No, they should be notified in advance, and these folks can be the department leads or supervisors. Okay, this is very important. For example, in my case, just to share an experience, this happened a long time ago. I took a supervisor role in a particular company, but um, I was just, provided that okay, this is the target, this is what we need to hire week on week, month on month. But when it comes to support, that was not provided to me. So I didn't know who to reach out to. Like, okay, what am I gonna do with this? Like, okay, there's something wrong with this tool. What should I do? Oh, I made a mistake doing something in this tool. Who should I reach out to? Okay, or oh no, I need to propose for a recruitment plan, but I need this amount of money or budget. Who should I talk to? Okay, so those are very important. So you need to prepare that list. These are your key employees in the company that can really offer the help and the answers for the new hire. Okay, so that's what we mean by create a networking list. Okay, so this can be, doesn't have to be the director of the department. No, it doesn't have to be the head of the department. It can be the department lead or supervisor. Okay, and then we follow the protocol. If the department lead or supervisor does not have the answer, then go to the next level. Okay, another would be hiring manager must ensure that there's daily touch base with the new hire for at least 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks. That's just the minimum. Some companies would do that in a month, as a maximum. But I would suggest at least for the first 2 weeks, because the first 2 weeks or even a month or even the first 3 months of the new hire, that's very critical. I don't know if you've experienced a new hire when you were recruiters, when you recruited that new hire, the new hire just suddenly said, I want to resign. No, so we don't want that to happen. All right. That's why we need to make sure, that we encourage our hiring managers. And if you're hiring managers yourselves, we need to have that daily touch base with the new hire, even if it's just a 30-minute session talk, just to check on the new hire, like how did your day end, or what did you do today? How was it today? Did you have any questions, or did you encounter any problems? Did you get the support
It's
that you
5
need?
o'clock.
Sorry, that's Siri. Did you get the support that you need? So those things that you need to touch base with the new hire. I know that I only have 45 minutes. I'll make this fast. Sorry, Yen. I'm just carried away. Um, okay. Again, ensure that the new hire is included, in all necessary email distribution list and virtual meeting and conference calls. This is very important. You need to make sure that your new hire feels that he or she belongs. Okay, right, belongs in the company, she's welcomed in the company, she's being engaged, being involved in meetings, so ensure that the new hire is on day one. As soon as you have the email address, the email address is right away included in the email distribution list. Okay, and included in conference calls. It's very, very important. Okay, next would be schedule a meet and greet session with the new hire, to get to know the team. This time, a meet and greet session with your team, and we're gonna do this remotely, virtually. So you can use a lot of, I don't know what messenger or meeting tools that you have, but there are a lot of meeting tools that are free out there. You have the Duo, you have the Meets, Google Meets, then you have Zoom. No, so you can use all of those tools to have that meet and greet session with the new hire. No, and I would encourage a daily meeting. Now, even if it's just 30 minutes. No, just for the new hire to see all the faces of all the members in the team. No, remember that the foundation of the team is trust and communication. Always remember that. Okay, you can never have that foundation if you're not seeing each other. It really helps if you see and talk to each other, even virtually. Okay? Another would be ramp up the new hire. No? As a hiring manager, take the lead for onboarding. Ensure that the right people are informed of the new hire's joining date. No, we don't want to surprise them. They need to be aware because they need to prepare. All right? Next, uh, and I mentioned this earlier, okay? Work with all stakeholders and HR to create introductory and orientation conference calls, okay? Introduce the new hires to each other. So if you have more than one new hires, so you have your own new hire in your own department, there's another new hire probably in another department or probably in the same team. It's best that they're also being introduced to each other, no? And they are when there's a session for company orientation, they are together. Even if it's virtually, they are in one session. No, so in orientation, we discuss history, mission, vision, and values, and then the products that our products of our business and the tools that everyone use in the company. No, this helps the new hire learn the business. Okay, that's very important. In the call center industry or in the BPO industry, this is normally called as product specific training. So this is when we orient our new hires that this is our business and this is the client that we support and this is what we sell for the client. No, um, and then host a welcome session after 1 month with a new hire and with the management team, just to check, do a temperature check. How is the new hire doing? How's his interaction or her interaction with the management team? How is he learning so far? In the last month, right? So come up with that session also. Another would be follow through on the online courses that the new hire needs to complete within the required timeline. Now, for some companies, there are a lot of online courses, and for those who don't, I would encourage you to start having the online courses because not everything can be done in person. No. So if you have a course on, let's say, compliance course, which is a requirement, let's say security, online security policy, or probably anti-corruption policy. So those courses are normally done online, and make sure that you follow through on them because those are normally required to be accomplished and completed after 30 days in most cases. So always make sure that those are completed so that you will also not be called out for compliance. Another would be prioritize certification needed to be completed for the new hire to acquire access to online tools. So for example, in HR, um, whenever we have new members in the HR team, the HR member is provided the access to this tool, right? And there are a lot of modules in this tool that requires certification. So make sure that you have your members are have completed the certification process so that there will be no delays in their access. Okay, and then most importantly, all right, and this is the last tip, make the new hires feel that you are prepared for them. Okay, you are connected and excited for them. All right, always invest time connecting with the new hire. Okay, because again, this will translate to good retention, and we know how expensive recruiting is, right? So that's the most important out of all the tips. This is the one that you always, that I would suggest that you remember always. Connect with the new hire. That really matters a lot for them. And remember, we were once a new hire. And remember how you felt when you had that connection. Okay? So that's it for me. That ends our session. And thank you for joining this webinar. I went beyond 45 minutes. I hope that's okay. So, Yen?
It's very much okay, Dre. Thank you so much for that very insightful talk. Are you okay with answering maybe 4 to 5 questions so that the questions addressed by our participants right now will be answered?
Sure.
All right. So, to our participants, thank you so much for staying and for really listen or understand our speakers' talk for this afternoon. So, if I may proceed, I will now start with Cherry Lou's question. So, her question is, what are the tips on how to validate credibility of hires, especially right now? Face-to-face recruitment is not recommended. Applicants could easily fake self-representation on a virtual recruitment.
That's a very good question because I had that same question myself. So,
For,
I was, yes.
for a moment, really, I'm really sorry for interrupting you, but we can see your camera right now. If you may double check for a moment.
Interesting. Okay. Is that Yen?
Hello?
Is that, can you see me now?
Yes, perfect. We can see you now. Thanks, Dre. So,
Okay.
we'll proceed again with the answer, no?
Okay, can you repeat that question? Sorry.
Okay, so the question is very interesting. So, what are the tips on how to validate credibility of hires, especially right now that face-to-face recruitment is not recommended? Applicants could easily fake self-representation on a virtual recruitment.
Right. So that's a very good question. I had that same question myself now. When I started doing virtual recruitment 2 years ago. Um, and virtual recruitment is not something new. And this is when that company helped me learn about virtual recruitment, um, digital recruitment at that. So credibility. So remember that even if you do in-person interview for let's say 1 hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour, it's not even enough, no, to establish credibility. So what will help you? So if you have a background check process, maybe that's something that you can look at and see if there's a process step that you need to add or you need to enhance to check on the credibility of your applicant. So that means, your interview will not just be enough. You know, when you check for credibility, especially records of this particular person, your background check will actually help. If you have a background check partner or vendor, you can actually set up a discussion with your partner vendor and say, how else can you check for a credibility of this person? So there are things that we need to check. So there's criminal check, there's uh, let's say identity check, there's credit check. All those things actually define the credibility of your applicant. But if you're talking about credibility when it comes to character or past behavior of your applicant, then that's when your creativity comes in, your network comes in. So it really helps if you know a lot of people, recruiters also, for just to check on your new hire. No, for example, you're familiar, you know the recruiter of this particular company which your applicant used to work for. No, you can probably do some background checks. Say, ask how did that person do well in that organization? Were there critical incidents that happened in the past, maybe negative or positive? No, so that's when your networking skills come in. Another would be, which is the latest trend actually, is use social media. Just make sure that um, make sure that you still practice due diligence, because whatever that you see in social media may not necessarily be true. Okay, so if you see something in social media, always find another source. No, like say to just to support what you see in social media. Don't just take it as it is. No, so that's what I can give you as a tip.
All right, thank you, Dre. So, we have few questions coming in also. So, we have here, what are the good or appropriate or effective questions to ask applicants who want to work from home so that we can assess their work ethic despite working virtually?
So I would still so I'm a targeted selection coach. I was certified to be a coach for targeted selection interview. That method remains effective even if we are screening for applicants remotely. Because remember, when we used to interview, even before the pandemic, we still do interviews over the phone, and we practice the TSI method, and then you use the STAR method, right? So stick to that. No, that can actually help you, because remember, in the targeted selection method, there are a lot of questions that you need to follow through. Just to make sure that you're getting the right answer. Okay, so that can help you. So remember that in targeted selection, you don't give situational questions, right? You always ask for questions that have happened in the past. So that's where you come in. Let's say if the person provides this person that actually happened in the past, no? And then there are information that are still not clear for you. That's when you follow through, right? So you eventually you will find out what this person, how this person behaved in the past, and then what's the work ethics of this person. You know, in targeted selection, we always believe in, you know, your past experience actually predicts your future performance. So always remember that. That still holds true even if we're doing it remotely.
All right, very nice. So, if I may proceed, now we have a question from Dale. His question is, how long should onboarding last? Is there any prescribed timeline like 2 weeks or 1 month? Also, a follow-up question regarding this question. How can we close onboarding? Should there be paperwork to confirm that onboarding has been completed?
Okay, good question. So first one, how long should onboarding be? Um, so I said earlier that onboarding should be a minimum of 2 weeks, right? And then actually, onboarding plan or timeline really depends on the process, on your company's requirement. No? So that's why it's really important that you sit down with your hiring manager. No? Let's say, okay, this is the plan. Uh, what do you think of this? Do you need to add more? Do you need to add someone else on board the person? No? So there's really no prescribed onboarding timeline. It's really dependent on uh, your company's requirement and the number of stakeholders that need to be involved. That actually dictates the timeline of your onboarding. Okay, and you also need to talk to your HR, no? HR head. Let's say, talk to the HR head. Say, okay, is there another HR in orientation that this new hire need to go through, so that we can add in this plan, onboarding plan. So, like I said, all the stakeholders must sit down, and then that's when you come up with an onboarding timeline. Second question. Sorry, what was that? Yeah. Second question, follow-up question.
The follow-up question was, how can we close onboarding? Should there be paperwork to confirm that the onboarding has been completed?
Okay. Now, to do this virtually, there should be no more paper. I would feel sorry for you if you have to print papers in your homes. So this is how you can document your onboarding. Remember that when you onboard someone, you schedule them, right, and then you send them an invite, right? So there's an invitation for a conference call. That invitation actually documents the onboarding if it's completed or not. Now, you need to have a separate tracker. We normally call it an onboarding tracker, no? So that there's a day, time, schedule, people, onboarding, on all those. So every day you check with the new hire. Were you onboarded by this person? Check with how when did you what time did your onboarding start. So all those things can be documented. You don't have to do write it down. You can use an Excel and then just check, put a check mark if the onboarding steps are or were accomplished.
Okay. Thank you, Dre. So before we proceed, we have some questions regarding the presentation you had earlier. So they're asking if they can also have a copy of the recording and the presentation. As for the recording, you can guarantee that we will be sending right after this webinar, maybe tomorrow. Also, even the absentees for this webinar, we will also be sending a copy of the recording. And as for the presentation itself, we will be asking Dre if he's open to share the presentation earlier to our participants. So,
Sure.
yes. So, thanks, Dre. So, hopefully, our participants who are expecting for the presentations and a recording to be sent, we will surely send it to you, guys. So, I'll now proceed with the next question. This is a question from Zoe. Hello, Miss Mildred. Would like to ask if you have any tool recommendations to make our ATS easy that would not require any purchase of software or etc.
Hmm. No, that's a difficult question because for ATS, I would not recommend a free ATS tool online because those can be subject for security breach. And as recruiters, we hold a very confidential information of our applicants. So um, maybe there are ATS tools that are actually designed locally. That would be not less expensive for you. I would suggest that you try to find someone who can design an ATS tool for you and customize it for you. Another cheap way or less expensive way, uh, less costly way of coming up with an ATS is if you have a team of IT professionals in your company who knows how to design a system. You can actually partner with your IT folks who have that skill. In my case, we call it automation team. So in Tech Mahindra, we have an automation team that designs our programs, our tools in the company locally based on our process and requirement. No, so you can also do that. Ask your IT folks if they have if they know how to design a system or a programming tool for you to come up with an applicant tracking system.
Right. So recruitment is always an integration of everyone in the company.
Yes.
I'll proceed now to our last two questions. So this is a question from Kim. How to conduct training virtually that will keep the attention span of the trainees?
Okay. That's a training question, but I'll try my best to provide an answer. So okay, attention span of your trainees. So that's actually like online class, no? I can just imagine the kids there that are doing the online class with short attention span. Probably, I would say that you come up with activities to engage your trainees. It's not just, all paperwork, all online courses. Probably an activity that, make them do move or come up with an exercise, no, that they can just stand up and take a break, and all of you will come up with that kind of exercise. Probably all of you can do TikTok together. Will that work? Just to keep the attention span going, and then after that maybe that's when you go back to your courses again, and then maybe later on come up with that kind of activity again, just to engage your trainees. Remember, you will lose the attention span of your trainees if you don't engage them. Always make sure that you engage them. That's my personal tip.
Okay. TikTok and everything fun, no? So that's a very nice tip, Dre. So now up to our last question. It's a question from Carmela. What are the sanctions for remote employees? I guess this is not quite in line with the topic, but maybe she's asking regarding the onboarding part if let's say go
Mm,
slow or anything.
well, I cannot provide. Sorry, Carmela, I don't have an answer to your question. That's more like an HR questions. Now, for the sanctions, I would say that really depends on your company's code of ethics and policies, and see if there's a schedule of disciplinary actions that are probably applicable to remote employees. I still believe that the company code of conduct is applicable to all employees regardless if they're working in the office or at home.
All
It
right.
just depends on the situation probably.
Okay, so it's still in the discretion of the company. So I guess we had an overtime of 22 minutes. And Dre, thank you so much for giving us the time and for generously sharing your tips and ways on the preparations of the future of remote recruitment and onboarding. And To our partners, we have here our participants, attendees, and live viewers. Again, thank you so much for attending our webinar for this evening. And for the questions who are still asking if we will be having a copy of the recording and the presentation, sure, guys, we'll be sending it to you. We'd be happy to send it to you tomorrow. So, again, thank you so much for attending Mynimo Insights, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Dre.
you, guys.
Thank you, Dre. Thank you so much. All
Take
right.
care.
Our we have our participants. Thank you so much. Thank you, Joey, Andre. We also have thank you, Mark.